So hello and welcome back to another week of exploring Kalmandor with both Beryl and Onyx as usual. I mean, sometimes it's just one and sometimes it's just the other, but as Ashenvale is a contested zone, we are going to have both of our sisters in and exploring both sides of the zone, starting with Onyx here at the Zoramgar Outpost, which is probably one of the bigger questing hubs of this area. And as you can see, it's just your basic horde questing zone. I do appreciate that the inn here not only has the hammocks, but there are a couple nice small little goblin beds in the inn. I mean, the place has got a few rats. The rat control problem could probably be helped. It also has one of the cool, and I feel like this is a more horde-centric thing, but you have to appreciate the Horde's idea of a forge. I mean, we don't need a forge, we're just gonna forge in the floor. I feel like it might be a little bit painful if you miss, but hey, so goes life. So, you're gonna come to Zoramgar Outpost and do a lot of questing here. You've got your basic quests, go out, kill a bunch of Naga, maybe even go into Black Fathom Deeps, which is the dungeon that is in this zone. It's a dungeon that I forget about for long stretches of time. And I think it's because back in Classic, it was one of the dungeons that I absolutely hated doing, because it has if it is the one I'm thinking about, it has this like water maze almost where you have to jump. And back in the day, I was terrible at it. In fact, when I would go in and do this dungeon with friends, I would usually just make my son get me into the actual dungeon, like get me off of the stupid jump. So yeah, that is my little piece of trivia about Black Fathom Deeps. Not my favorite dungeon, although I've done it a number of times. Now, if you are a Horde pet battle trainer, then right here is Annalyn. She is your master pet trainer. And if you're doing your pet battle dailies and want just a really easy one, this is a very good and easy one to go to. So we're going to move on and highlight the other Horde areas in Ashenvale. So as we go running through Ashenvale, we come upon Hellscream's Watch. It is where the Horde forces are arrayed against the nearby Night Elf area of, I think it's Astronar? Let me check the map here, because my brain just completely voided. Yes, it is where the Horde is launching their attack against Astronar. And also, I do believe that this is where you get the quest. I think even the Horde side has the quest to go and take out this dude up here, which is Lord Magmathar. He is a ginormous elemental that has just decimated Iris Lake, and you end up having to take care of him, which honestly, Horde or Alliance, I feel like anybody that has just set the entire forest on fire definitely needs to be dealt with. But you can also go down, like I said, this is a very contested zone. The Horde and Alliance, well, mostly it's the Orcs and the Night Elves are just at each other's throats. The Horde has actually taken over the Silverwind Refuge, and as you can see by Onyx landing on it, they have cut down a lot of the great trees, and that's why the Night Elves are fighting back. The Horde have also put a bunch of the furbolgs into this pen here. I can't remember why exactly you go and talk to Orowen, but he is the only one in this little holding pen of furbolgs that you can't actually fight. So, can't remember what's going on there. It's been a while since I quested through this area. I probably should quest through it again at some point, but, you know, one of these days. I feel like that's always the thing that you say in World of Warcraft. So here at the Silverwind Refuge, you can see they've taken over. It's still a very Night Elf building, but they've taken out all of the beds. They've tossed in a bunch of hammocks, a few quest givers, and they're dealing with the befouled water elementals that are in Lake Mistral. And honestly, that's pretty much the Horde side story. They are fighting against the Night Elves. You know, we've got a couple more little areas to go to, but that's about it for the Horde side. Another area for the Horde where we're having a lot of conflict is here at the Splinter Tree Post, where the Night Elves have recruited some of the ancients, the forest ancients, and they are besieging the post, where you're going to run around and help defend. One thing I do like in the Splinter Tree Post is it's almost like a really cool little cave back here, and it's just not something that you kind of normally see. At least I don't normally see in the middle of a Horde outpost. So I thought that was kind of cool. I do believe that you have a quest where you end up having to come back here and talk with Durak.
Strength and
who's
honor.
just like, what is it, puny Mort? Yes, Blood Elf, what can I do for you? I think he's been taken over by something, but again, it's been a very long time since I quested through here. I might really have to fix that. So we've got that, and we have one more area to go to on the Horde side, and that is probably the entrance that everybody knows the best. Alright, so here we are at the Morshan Ramparts, which is technically the Northern Barrens, but it is most people's introduction to Ashenvale, where you end up here and you start questing into Ashenvale, fighting against the Night Elves that are kinda sorta everywhere, and helping to rescue the wounded defenders. You know, just doing your typical Horde things. I do remember doing this probably right after the Cataclysm came out and being absolutely owned by these Ashenvale defenders. These Night Elves messed up more than one of my characters because they were just everywhere. I was more than overwhelmed by them. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the Horde side. I'm probably missing a whole lot of stuff. Like I said, it's been a long time since I quested through here on either the Horde or the Alliance side. But we're gonna flip it on over to Beryl, and we're gonna go through some of the Alliance side highlights and a few of the places that old Onyx did not take us to. Alright, so we have joined Beryl on her beautiful kitty cat, and she is at Forest Song, which is an area where the Draenei and the Night Elves are working together, along with a few dryads and things, trying to reestablish a foothold against not only the Horde, but also the Burning Legion, which does have a little bit of a presence here in Ashenvale, which is something I didn't really touch on with Onyx, but yeah, there's a lot going on here. Ashenvale is actually one of the ancestral homelands of the Night Elves, so you're gonna see ruins everywhere. If you look down here, you can see the Horde fortifications up ahead where they're just chopping down the trees, and the Night Elves are fighting back. Now, if you go behind Bow Shadow here, or behind Forest Song, we're going to go and check out Bow Shadow, which is one of the world trees, and it is, I think, the only world tree that is not linked in the Emerald Dreamway. So that's an interesting thing. And if you're in the mood for a little bit of a fight, I don't think, nope, these guys are no longer elites, but I'm pretty sure that back pre-Cataclysm, all of these green dragons were elites. So this was one of those areas that you entered at your own peril, definitely. But you've got Phantom and the Dreamstalker, two big old green dragons who are corrupted, so they will attack you on sight. But, if you're maybe farming some of the dragon scales, I do believe that all of the dragons through here will drop dragon scales, so if you're looking for some of those old recipes for transmog, it's a good spot to come and farm. But yeah, we're gonna move along here and check out a couple more areas. Just south of the Warsong Lumber Camp is an area that doesn't even look like it should be in Ashenvale, but that is the Demon Fall Cavern. Like I said, the Burning Legion does have a presence here, and as you can see, they're kinda everywhere. One thing that's very cool, and I'm not really sure what the point of it is, but there is a cave that is concealed in a building that I found earlier and probably can't find now because, of course, I didn't have the recording going back when I was just exploring and refreshing my memory. But yeah, Demon Fall Cavern, you're gonna try to take out these demon gates that are everywhere, take a bunch of these demons out, and then I'm pretty sure there's actually a whole big chain of quests that are back through here. Also, as you can see, you've got some wild steel bloom and some tin veins, so if you are a miner, this is not the worst place to come and hang out. Also, just like over around Karazhan, the trees here are extremely creepy and kind of look like they have faces in them. They look a little bit tortured, and they probably are a little bit tortured because this was once all part of the Forest of Ashenvale, and now it's just kind of been twisted. But yeah, we'll come out right here at Fellfire Hill, and as you can see, there's a bunch more demons kind of everywhere. And then we're back into the not so terrible woods. But the demons sort of have another corrupting influence, and that is here at the Dordanai Barrow, which is where a lot of druids are down there. They were sleeping, they were in the Emerald Dream doing their druid thing, and between the Forsaken and the demons in the area, they kind of sort of got massively corrupted, and you've got a bunch of quests to go down there and basically put a bunch of them down. And not gonna lie, I do remember doing that quest and getting horribly lost in there. I am terrible when you put me down in the Night Elf barrow dens. That was one of the things that got me way back when in vanilla, when I actually attempted to play, well, when I attempted to play again. Because the first time I attempted to play, I didn't even get out of the Night Elf starting zone. The second and third times that I attempted to play over at my friend's house, with her guiding me every step of the way and not laughing at me every time I died, which I did appreciate not being laughed at, yeah, she got me into one of the barrow dens, and I got lost. I got horribly lost. I still get lost in those things. You put me underground, and I'm just going to get completely lost. It's sort of a rule of the Christine. Now, if you are into PvP, this is probably an area that either you know about or you might want to know about. I know that these days you can just, I think, queue up for Battlegrounds, but if you ever wanted to know where the Warsong Gulch entrance is, it is right here at Silverwing Grove. Don't think that there's actually a flight point to this area, but it's here. I'm not a PvPer. I've never been good at PvP. There's a lot of things in World of Warcraft I'm not actually good at. What I'm good at is exploration and questing. Those are the things that I have always appreciated. And then, of course, when they added in pet battling, well, that just kind of took me right over. I do know that, like Elwyn Forest and like Hillsbrad Foothills, like the Barrens, Ashenvale, way back in the day, since it did have so many Horde and Alliance questing areas, was a big PvP area. So that could also be one of the reasons that I don't know this area as well as I should. Now, there are 2 Moonwells that are here in Ashenvale. We have the Moonwell of Cleansing, and there is another Moonwell. I think it's the Moonwell of Purity. And you can make mooncloth at either of those. I mean, you can make mooncloth at any Moonwell, but it's always nice to know that there are a couple more. Now, there are furbolgs all over, and all hostile. These are not like the ones that we will see later that you can ally yourself with. So just keep an eye out for them, especially if you're doing this at level. Here we are back at the Silverwind Refuge, which, like I said before, taken over by the Horde. They cut down all the trees. It's terrible. There's also this big old bomb here that I do believe, if you are on the Alliance side, you get to try to take out, considering it has a quest for you. Yeah, definitely need to come back and do a lot of questing through here, because I've forgotten most of the stories. But I do know that we are headed over to Astronar, which is completely under attack by the Horde. But let's make a little detour over here to the Ruins of Stardust, where you will also have a few quests, mostly trying to, I think, collect some berries from these bushes and not being killed by all of the Shade Thicket wood shapers. Also, there is a archaeology point there. I think Ashenvale has either 4 or 5 potential archaeology points too, if you're into archaeology, which I am, because I absolutely adore all of the pets and things that you can get from archaeology and the mounts that you can get from archaeology. I'm a little bit mad that archaeology has pretty much fallen by the wayside. I was really hoping that maybe in Dragonflight they would give us a little bit more archaeology, and unfortunately it doesn't seem like they have. I think that's my only actual quibble with Dragonflight, because other than that, I think it is an amazing expansion, but I would have liked to have seen them go as in-depth with archaeology as they did with the rest of the professions. So here we are at Astronar, and as you can see, it's on fire. So just like in Ajara, when we had the secret lab on fire, now we have a Alliance place on fire. Unfortunately, it's on fire because of the Horde Wind Riders that are firebombing the place. And so when you're questing through here, you will have a couple of quests to put out the fires, and then you get to mount one of these throwing glaives and drive it all over the city, knocking wind riders out of the sky. It's kind of fun, actually. Just watch out. You can, and I have many, many times driven myself directly into the lake, which is not exactly what you're supposed to do, I don't think. So now we're going right back over Hellscream's Watch as we are headed down towards the last real questing hubs in the zone. Like I said, I know that there is a lot that I'm missing, and I probably should have remedied that by actually going through and maybe doing some of these quests and refreshing my mind. But in my defense, I spent most of the last week painting things, so real life kind of got in the way. So now we're just basing it all on my memories. I know I have quested here not too long ago on a warrior that I'm trying out, and there was a lot of fun here at Maestra's Post. You get to do a lot of different spying. You have to fight your way through all of these Horde invaders and come into this tower, get a bunch of plans, and take out the Onyx, the thrice damned up there. It's not an impossible set of quests, but it was an interesting one. You also come down here and deal with the Thistlefur Furbolg, who are causing issues, because of course they are. Everybody causes issues in WoW. If they weren't causing issues, what else would happen? And you get some quests from Bathron, who is actually a ghost, and he is trying his hardest to stop his corpse from being harvested and turned into terrible things by the Forsaken. So that is all the questing over there. Oh, there's actually one other interesting place that I don't think I ever actually knew about, and I'm going to take you there now. Alright, now I did know about Lake Valtham because I've done these quests where you are helping the Keeper here to fight off all these tendrils from below and to take out the Harbinger over here, but I don't think I had ever gone beyond that until today when I started running around and I was like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. Now you have the Shrine of Anicia over here, but if you go just beyond it, you can go to the House of Idun, and in it he's going to ask you to go and check on some friends of his. It's like, hi, Alana found herbs, go pick them up. So, you know, he's just kind of hanging out, but he's got some friends that he says are just to the south of him. So if you go to the south, it's actually his friends that I found first, and it's just this random little camp back here over by the Feral Scar Shrine, and there it is. It is Bullion's camp, and as you can see, they've managed to get themselves into a little bit of trouble. You know, you've got leather working supplies. I don't know if maybe if you rescue these guys, if you will end up getting some special leather working supplies. I'm gonna actually have to check that out, but if you know, drop in the comments down below. But it also looks like maybe Bullion is into wood carving? Question mark? It's kind of interesting. It's just a random little camp out in the middle of nowhere over by the Feral Scar Shrine, which probably has something to do with why they're all tied up like that, because it looks like more of the Legion is over here just causing all sorts of problems. In fact, it's probably them that has taken out a lot of this. Also, you can come over here in the Shrine of Inicia, and I am sure that eventually big old Baobab probably has some quests for you as well. Maybe after you rescue Buyun's camp. Don't know. Alright, the only other real questing hub, and it is the place with the quests not only for a lot of introduction to the zone, because most Alliance players come into Ashenvale from, drawing a blank, Darkshore. If they're, regular Night Elves, you're going to come in through Darkshore and come right over here to the Blackfathom camp, which is usually your introduction into the area. So the Horde comes at it from the Northern Barrens, but the Alliance tends to come from Darkshore into the Blackfathom camp. After you do most of their little questing, this is also where you get the breadcrumb quest that will take you into Blackfathom Deeps. So, that's about all I have for you this week. Next week, speaking of Darkshore, that is where we are headed. We are going to a place that has changed a lot since the days of the Cataclysm, and then it changed a lot yet again with Battle for Azeroth, but never fear, we're going to probably take a look at it both in the past and in the present so that we can get the whole picture. And there's even a secret in there that I never knew about, but will get you a secret achievement if you've never done it. So, as always, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed this. Sorry that this one wasn't as good. Like I said, this is just, although it's a very aesthetic and very beautiful zone, it's a zone that I honestly feel like I just skipped very, very often. I mean, I did it enough to have Lore Master. I have gotten all the achievements through here, but that was a very long time ago. So, from Onyx and Beryl and me, I will see you guys next week when we go to Darkshore. Say goodbye, Beryl.